The following production is part of the We Be Geeks podcast collective.
All this has happened before.
Hey kids, Townsend Coleman here, the voice of Michelangelo from the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Tom Kane this is, the voice of Yoda on Star Wars.
Hey yo, it's Wobat, and a big yeehaw to you all. I used to be Luke Duke.
Hi, my name is Oli Shoshan. I play Jedi Master Shakti.
Hi, Butch Patrick here, Eddie Munster.
Hi, this is Jim.
Hi, this is Bill Farmer. You're listening to the Neverland podcast.
Welcome to Neverland, to Disney and beyond.
And it will all happen again.
And now your head lost boy, the Spider-Pan,
Walk on the eyes in each pan.
Jeremy.
Hooray for Godzilla!
Take your pixie out of your pockets, Neverlanders, and sprinkle some of that pixie dust around. Think of the happiest thought, and we will take off. We will fly. We will go to Neverland, because that is where we never land. Okay, that was bad. I'm sorry. You got anything better? Eric's with us. Hi.
Hi. I don't have anything better,
Yeah.
but I do have a figment of imagination with me today.
Yes, for those of you who can't see us, because this is audio, he's got a figment sitting on his shoulder that I can see and you can't, because I'm special.
We'll save it for later.
Sure, we'll save, because we will, we like to put videos up specifically for our Patreon support, which if you're not supporting us on Patreon, you can find a link right there on neverlandpodcast.com to our Patreon support page, or just go patreon.com/neverlandpodcast. We appreciate any help you jive in there to get. That also keeps you from having to hear ads that should be placed like at the beginning of the show, and maybe I should go and start editing and putting an ad in the middle of the show, because I hear a lot of advertisers like that. When you know how I'm learning this, that advertisers like it in the middle of the show? Because we have a new show, Neverland Rock Radio, which is only available on Spotify or Anchor. Because I learned that Anchor partnered with Spotify and will allow you to have a show that you can pull songs from Spotify, so I can play music on the podcast. And I've been turning it into my own kind of personal journal. So you're going to learn a little bit more about me, and you get to hear some of my favorite songs. And I play some Disney songs. I play some non-Disney songs. I'm kind of doing whatever I want with it at this point. I did, though, because I wanted to get the message out, I did go ahead and play the Dan Vietz audio on one of those on Neverland Rock Radio. That one will also end up getting put on like Apple and stuff, because normally you're not going to find this on Apple because of the music existing. But here's the thing I want to let you know. If you have a Spotify membership, you will get to hear the entirety of every song I play. If you don't, you only get like a 30-second clip of the songs that I'm playing. And the songs right now have a purpose for the personal audio journal that I'm putting out there. But yeah, so go check it out if you have a Spotify account or an Anchor. That's the only places you're going to be able to listen to Neverland Rock Radio. And you basically just get me playing music, which is kind of how I make my living in the early morning hours in a small little radio show in Cameron. So some classic rock, some Disney, some just whatever the heck I feel like playing that I can find on Spotify, because that's kind of the thing. It has to be on Spotify to keep it all legal. But how much fun. They're basically doing stuff. I can do stuff there that I can't do here because copyright,
Right.
So yeah, but that's how I found out, because they're saying, hey, because I can record a sponsor bit. So far, I've only recorded a thing for Anchor, and they recommend that if you can, you put a sponsored bit somewhere in the middle of the show, because apparently sponsors like that. So I might start, with the sponsorship thing I have going here, I might start actually putting a cut inside the show. But so if you don't want to hear those ads, the best way to do it, I do have an ad-free link that I put over there on the Patreon page, so you can hear it completely ad-free. You'll get your own RSS feed, and you can also watch whenever I put videos of the show up. You're going to get it there, which is so you can actually see, and be disappointed at what I look like. Because believe me, it's not that much. Eric gets to see it. He's not that impressed. So. But anyways, yes, Lost Boy Eric is back, and we haven't talked to you, and it's been since the beginning of the month.
Yeah.
So, and all right, so one other quick preview. I'm going to take a drink. Another quick preview. I want to make sure you know what's coming on this show, so you can be excited.
That's not me.
Oh, that's pretty exciting, too, because the beginning of the show, for all of you who are the diehard Disney audience, you're going to want to stick around through the beginning of the show, because we've got a lot of fun Disney stuff to talk about. But for a big chunk of the show, I got to talk to a guy who he's kind of an early game designer. He's kind of fallen into being a game designer because there was a game he wanted to make. He thought it's the game we all wanted as kids and we never got. And he's making a Masters of the Universe fan game that looks like an old NES 8-bit game. And the demo is available. We were going to give you that website later. And that conversation is coming on later in the show. You're not going to want to miss it. And not to mention, I will warn you before we get into it because I figure you've been watching WandaVision, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. And I have some thoughts on it, but I don't want to spoil anything because I've watched the 3rd episode. Eric probably watched the 3rd episode, right?
Yep, I have.
And I don't know if you, dear listener, have heard that 3rd episode, so I don't want to spoil anything. So I'm going to warn you before we talk about it, before we go into the interview, so you know to skip ahead and listen to the conversation I have with Sean Ayala, who is this really cool guy. You know, he's fun to talk to because we were just geeking out over He-Man, okay? So we're going to go beyond Disney later on in the show. But that's what we got going on today. We got so much stuff, and I'm trying to think if there's anything else I haven't mentioned. I don't know if we have time for much regular, like the host chatter stuff that we do, because, you know, I got a long interview thing, and this show could run 2 hours, but I try not to go 2 hours. But, well, what have you been up to, though, for the last couple of weeks? I got a funny story I want to tell you here in a little bit, but...
Well, we've made a couple of trips out to Florida. Went to Disney World. Got to spend some time at all 4 parks, which has been amazing since park hopping has been reinstated out at the Florida resorts. So we've been able to go. Unfortunately, our trips have only been limited to 1 day in the parks. So being able to park hop and get a bit of those other parks for a little bit of the day has been, it's been amazing. My wife was able to ride Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway for the first time, which she absolutely adores. And last weekend, we managed to snag a Rise of the Resistance reservation and were able to get in on a fairly early boarding group that day.
That's your second time on that, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Have they fixed out a lot of those bugs?
To the best of my knowledge, they have.
Yay.
I didn't notice anything that should have been working that wasn't working, or vice versa. It was a great experience, as it was the first time, and I cannot wait to have another chance to go back and ride that again. As many of you may know, I had the opportunity to build a lightsaber back in, I guess it was September now. My brother has asked me to pick up a lightsaber for him the next time we go. So I'm going to be doing the whole Doc Ondar's experience, which mostly involves waiting in a virtual line for about 3 hours. But, I'll have an opportunity to see what the process is to buy a lightsaber that way. I also tried a Ronto wrap for the first time this past Saturday.
Does it taste like chicken?
No, it doesn't.
Whoa.
Surprisingly not. Now, the Andorran tip yip, I would imagine tastes like chicken from the other restaurant that's there, whose name manages to escape me. But no, I went to get a Ronto wrap, and it was fairly interesting. It's a pork-based sausage in naan bread with a piece of, actually, you know what? I think there was some chicken in there, a flat piece of chicken breast, along with some spicy coleslaw. Very interesting and different. I really enjoyed it. Coleslaw, I'm not really much of a fan of, but it had a Asiago pepper jack type seasoning to it.
Woo!
Just definitely gave it a bit of spice, and I enjoyed that while my family went and had lunch at Pizza Rizzo. However, but no, it's that's the majority of it. Other than that, we've just been hanging out. I've been staying healthy and just making some good life choices as far as my health goes.
Yep, that's good. Yes, because we won't share why, but you've been needing to make some changes. I fully understand.
I have. And,
I can totally understand those changes.
and it's changes that I know I've needed to make. Now the time is here. I'm ready and fully able to go and dive right into them.
Yeah, well, that's just a part of getting older. Is all that you're supposed to eat healthy, but sometimes we just don't do it until we get older, and the doctor says, "Hey, you better start eating better because it's starting to affect you." So,
well, at times it's kind of like the relationship between Cliff and Claire Huxtable. My wife is pointing out the things that I probably should not be enjoying as much as I enjoy them.
Yeah, and speaking of enjoying things that I probably shouldn't have been enjoying, I actually got a funny story I got to tell you. So this only would have happened because of the whole COVID thing. So, so Friday, we decided, we just don't feel like making anything. Let's just order a pizza. So I went ahead, placed the order for a pizza. I had that and some cheese sticks and a 1 2-liter. Well, we wait for it to arrive, and what arrives is the 2-liter, and then there was like a Cinnabon thing, and then 3 boxes. And I didn't realize it until I got it into the kitchen. I looked at it, and I said, this is not our order. The only thing that I have that I recognize is this 2-liter of Diet Pepsi. And so I go back out to the front door thinking, well, maybe the driver's still here because he gave us the wrong thing. And so, oh my goodness, the receipt isn't even ours. So then this other driver comes pulling up and stops in front of my yard. And it says like, oh my gosh, did you get the wrong order? And I said, yes, I did. And he came up with the correct order with another Diet Pepsi 2-liter, which because of COVID, and I was like, oh, well, I have the other order right here in my kitchen. He says, no, don't worry about that. Just keep everything. And I didn't realize why, but yeah, it's because of COVID. I can't give it back to them. So they had to remake this other person's order, and it was a pretty large order. But now this means we have a lot of extra pizza. It was a blessing in disguise because, like, hey, we have something to eat all weekend until I'm sick and tired of eating pizza. But the problem is I don't need to eat that much pizza. I'm supposed to not be eating that much like white bread stuff because it's a fast carb. So, but now that's pretty much what we have to eat. So it's kind of funny. It's like, well, if it wasn't for COVID, I wouldn't have all this extra food. So, we need to have some people over to come and eat it. Plus, I want to have people over for the Haunted Mansion game, the Call in the Spirits.
Oh, yes.
I still haven't gotten a chance to play it, but I read the rules on how it plays, and it sounds really confusing and complicated, but it'll probably be a lot easier once I get going. As soon as I get a chance to play it, I'm either going to get some video or some audio of me playing with some people. That way we can discuss it or whatever, and that'll be a fun feature on the show. So, but it's really confusing, but I think it'll make sense once I, get down into it. It sounds really, really difficult because the hitchhiking ghosts are going to be very vicious in haunting you, and when they haunt you, they're going to cost you points because it's very much a point-based system.
Gotcha, yeah.
You're trying to meet all the happy haunts, but the hitchhiking ghosts will take away your points.
Gotcha.
So
they don't just follow you home.
Yeah, they wreck your game. And whoever gets the most haunt points, because there's different types of ghosts. If you have the most haunt points at the end of the game, whatever your most common ghost type is, you have to turn and discard all those. So you lose a ton of points.
Oh, goodness.
Like it wasn't bad enough you're losing points because of the haunt. I mean...
Well, I got a new Disney board game for Christmas.
Nice. What is it?
It's called Disney Codenames. And
I think I've seen this.
Yes, and what it is you're given a pattern to arrange a number of Disney items. They could be characters, they could be locations, they could just be movies. And you have 2 teams, a red team and a blue team. And there's a code set in which the red team has a certain number of characters that apply to their team, as it does for the blue team. And each team has a code giver who knows what the code is, knows what that pattern is, and has to try and use one word to describe as many of the characters, locations, or items that belong to their team. So if I've got a picture of, say, Snow White and Dopey as part of my code, I might say dwarves too. Now, that certainly refers to Dopey as a dwarf, but it also refers to Snow White as she's in the movie Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. So it makes you think a little bit as you're working it and trying to figure out, okay, what code word can I use? And is my team going to understand that code word? And is this going to apply to a character who might not be one of my team's codes, but that the other team might be able to use for their own? So I might use the word dwarves, but let's say I've got Etri from Avengers Infinity War. He's a dwarf, technically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, it's interesting. You got to think about your answers and what it's going to be.
Because it could cost you or it could gain for you, apparently, then.
Exactly.
I just had a thought. I bet we could try to play some of these board games over camera and record some stuff. Well, the only tricky part, the Haunted Mansion when you like, I think your haunt cards would be face up, but like you can keep your ghost cards, I think, face down, so you can keep those hidden. So the hard part is when you collect your cards, you'd have to tell me, well, I want to see my cards. But I think I probably could play and have you in on this. I'll put the laptop on the table, and you'd be able to play along. And so we could record video. I think I could make this work.
Potentially. Because
basically you get like 3 things you get to do each turn. And you don't have to roll a dice or anything. You just, look at the board and tell me, okay, well, I want to move over here or I want to move over there. Because you can go one space in the end of this hallway or back into the seance room. And then, of course, you can draw a card, which I can tag the card and there it is. And the card might say, well, before you start each turn, you draw a card for the hitchhiking ghost to tell where they're moving.
Right.
But then you can also, when you go to a room from the endless hall, you collect whatever ghost you want to meet that's in that room. So you kind of make your decisions. And then you can also choose to rotate the endless hall to put yourself or others in other rooms. So you can tell me, oh, I want to rotate that direction, so I can move the stuff. So I can move the board around for you because you can tell me what you want. So I think you can play with this.
I was going to say, there is potentially a chance that I might procure said board game within the next couple of weeks. I'm looking at that and the Adventureland game. Or actually, it's a Jungle Cruise game.
Nice! I didn't know there was a Jungle Cruise game coming.
Yeah.
It's another Funko?
So we'll see. It may be. But I know that both are being sold right now at the Disney parks.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, so Jungle Cruise I haven't found at Walmart, but this one I did find at Walmart. So anyone who's a Haunted Mansion fan, go and find this at the Haunted Mansion. Call the Spirits. I do have a video I put up before Christmas of recommending it as a Christmas gift where I took it apart and showed all the fun cards and how cool it is. But yeah, still haven't played it. But yeah, I think when I play it, and especially if you have a board of your own, you'll be able to see what's going on as long as we coordinate. So we know what's going on. The only thing that's difficult is you have to only use one set of cards because the cards determine how long the game lasts because you'll hit a final card. They're based upon how many people they're playing. So then you have to separate the final card things, and then based upon how many people you are playing, you put that many cards with that one because you're going to play until you run out of cards.
Right.
So we have to make sure we're using one deck, but at least you could keep an eye on a board in front of you if you do get a set. So we can make this work. So yes, so this is an upcoming thing. I don't know when it's going to happen, but we're going to have to make this happen when we have some time and stuff. Creaking doors and creaking floors.
Oh yes, okay. Speaking of which, creaking doors.
Yes.
And weighted blankets.
But we better get onto some Disney news here real quick. So let me hit that sounder real quick.
Spanning the Disney and geek universe to bring you the best in comics, toys, movies, and entertainment. This is news from around Neverland.
So, okay, this is pretty cool, and I gotta say I'm excited about it just because it's Spider-Man. But we got a little look at the Spider-Man adventure that's coming to the Avengers campus over in Disneyland. Woo-hoo! And Eric is whipping away. You've got a chance to play the Miles Morales game, even.
Yes.
I still think I'm going to wait for the PS5 before I get it. I think I am. But Tom Holland apparently is popping up. There is some video up on their YouTube. Peter Parker has apparently started something called Web, which it says on the Disney Parks blog, in the Web Workshop, young engineers specialize in developing innovative technologies to equip and empower a new generation of superheroes. This workshop showcases the adventures of Peter Parker and the rest of the Web tech team, including their adorable spider bots, which I want one, which are designed to be robotic sidekicks capable of building anything a superhero might need. And then, of course, because everything got to go wrong, it's a Disney ride. So when it goes awry, the spider bots are stuck in a replication loop, creating even more spider bots. And so you get to don some 3D glasses. You go on a test drive in one of the latest inventions called a web slinger vehicle, and you actually get to use web slinging superpowers that you have because of tech. So they have an excuse for you to be able to do stuff. You're using technology.
Exactly.
So I'm excited. I really want to get a chance to ride this thing, but I got to wait for Disneyland to open and then me to have enough money to get myself there. But this looks really cool.
Yes, it certainly does. And I'm glad that they're tying it into the spider bots that you can actually build and have for yourself. And, the great thing about the spider bots is that you can compete them against each other when you have them, when you have two or more. So, again, it's just some interesting way to incorporate all of these different areas of their new Marvel area into this one ride.
Mm-hmm.
So very exciting. And I personally, I do hope that the 3D glasses that they use have an Edith program in them.
They should make some sort of like glasses that you can wear on the ride, but that you can keep, kind of like in the Harry Potter parks, they have a wand that actually can interact with stuff.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be cool if you could buy glasses and you can interact with things in the Avengers area with the like Edith glasses?
Yeah, with a heads-up display, it'd be really neat.
That'd be cool. Hey, Disney, if you're not doing that, please do. That would be pretty awesome. Because, they used to have those interactive games anyway, at least in the Magic Kingdom and whatnot. Make an interactive game that you can use your Edith glasses when you wear them into the park.
Which is something, I don't know if we've mentioned this already, but Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom, that interactive game, is ending at the end of this month, sadly.
I never got a chance to play it.
Yeah, I had one chance to play it, and quite honestly, my kids lost interest at the first window that they went to. But the cards were neat.
Well, yeah, I'm sure. So, have you ever been to Hawaii?
I have not. I would love to go to Hawaii.
You ever met a sea turtle?
Well, there's Crush. I talked to Crush.
Did he have a crush on you?
No.
Okay.
But, we had a good turtle talk with him.
Well, how would you like to meet one that you can't pronounce the name? It's Olumel. I think I'm saying that. But out at Olani, they have, and he's supposed to be a friend of Duffy, the bear, which I think still happens. I don't know if that's still in the United States. I think in Japan he's popular.
Oh, Duffy is definitely popular in Japan. And every once in a while, I'll see him pop up at the Disney parks here in the States.
Okay. Well, he's got a friend, a little sea turtle playing a ukulele, running around at Olani. Mel is short for Melody, according to the Disney Parks blog, and so Olu Mel got his nickname from Duffy and Shelley Mae after they heard his beautiful singing.
Do you think he loves them?
He probably does.
A long time ago.
And you can see you can see Olu Mel as well as other favorite Disney characters, including Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Donald Duck, Daisy Duck, and Stitch on your next trip to Aulani Resort. I would go to Aulani Resort if I could afford it because I'd love to visit Hawaii. I mean, it looks absolutely beautiful. And going to a Disney resort in Hawaii, I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah.
No brainer. No brainer for me, at least. Well, I might need help planning that. Got any ideas?
Well, I help people out all the time when it comes to planning for Disney trips. But for Hawaii, you got me. I'm stumped. I wouldn't even know where to start from square one. But, there's a lot of good people out there who have been to the parks enough, who have got that background knowledge that Disney is, stepping on, or not stepping on them, but helping them step up and share that knowledge. Now, there are people being stepped on, but...
I actually, Philip shared a video with me. It's kind of a joke thing of Disney Plus's plan to crush Netflix. And the funny thing is that then after I watched the video that was done as a satire, I actually did see where Netflix over the last year has lost money compared to Disney Plus, which is still gaining ground. Despite Netflix having Cobra Kai on there, I mean, Disney Plus is just knocking it out of the park right now. So, yeah, they are crushing and stepping on things, but it's not you, it's Netflix. Crush your enemies, see them driven before you. Okay, never mind. For anyone who has seen those videos where they songify Conan. Yeah. But so what would you do if you wanted to go and find some help planning on Disney?
Well, going online is usually my first step. But where do you find someone to give you that information if you don't know them already at work?
Well, if you put hashtag Plan Disney into a post, that helps. But there even more about that. Disney has actually on Instagram at Plan Disney Panel, on Twitter at Plan Disney. You can ask questions. And they're saying on the Disney Parks blog, they say Plan Disney is the go-to resource for all your Disney vacation planning needs. Whether you have one specific question or you don't know where to begin, the Plan Disney panelists can help. And this is moms, dads, grandparents, adults without kids, doctors, lawyers. I mean, a bunch of people who just know everything, and they can help you with that information to help you plan your trip. It's convenience. What I think they need is an app, though, to kind of get you. But I guess you got a Twitter app. You might as well just, As long as you haven't gotten banned from Twitter, you can get in there and talk to them.
Parlay.
Parler, yeah. Well, if Parler's supposed to be trying to come back, but I don't know if that's going to work for you. That's a whole other story, and we don't want to talk about it here. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Big Brother is watching you. And watch what you say.
But do you think Big Brother likes polka dots?
Oh, I bet Big Brother loves polka dots because Big Brother is everybody's a Minnie Mouse fan. Let's face it. Everybody loves Minnie, but not as much as Mickey loves Minnie because you don't want to make that mouse jealous. I'm telling you, Mickey can. I've seen YouTube videos of how evil Mickey is supposed to be. Okay, this is a whole other thing there too. But so Positively Minnie, the Polka Dot Summit 2.0 Digital Edition is happening February 13th. And it's easy to remember that because it's the day before Valentine's Day, and that's the day where you better be thinking about buying something nice for your wife or significant other of some sort, which I have no idea what to do this year. I really don't have a clue.
But if your wife is like mine and loves Minnie, this is going to be a great event.
There you go. And it's National Polka Dot Day, apparently.
Exactly. Now it's going to be free to the public. Mm-hmm. Fans are able to partake in Minnie-inspired workshops and styling sessions, listen to a keynote conversation with participating talent, shop the latest Minnie merch, and much more, according to this. What's going to happen is this is going to be a virtual summit on the 13th.
Mm-hmm. And they've even started registration. If you can find links on the Disney Parks blog. So from January 2nd and closing on February 12th, registrations are non-transferable, limited to one per attendee. But it's free, but you do have to register, and it's the Create and Cultivate website at createcultivate.com/polka-dot-summit. I'll better keep this page open. I'll try to make sure I put a link here in the show notes so you can go and hop on it. So, by the way, if you don't know how to find the show notes, whatever app you are using, there should be somewhere that you can touch that will bring in whatever I've posted up onto the website. You can find show notes. I've had somebody point out that we should probably be letting people know because a lot of people don't realize that even iTunes or whatever you're using, you can access those show notes and you can find whatever links we're putting out there. When we talk about links, it's right there. And of course, you can always go to neverlandpodcast.com, find that specific page for that podcast episode, and you will find those show notes there. And every link is there to go to whatever we talk about because you're going to want to go and check out the Play Motu later, by the way. We're going to talk about that one. Just saying. Plus, I'll make sure I'll grab this link here and I'll put it in the show notes. So I'm going to keep that page up so I don't forget.
I'm sorry, I just started thinking about sausage links.
Oh, boy. Well, you did just kind of eat some no, you were eating a Ronto. It was a Ronto. So the earth-shaking news that happened a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, yes.
That I want to mention, but I had worried that this was happening at Walt Disney World as well, but I guess it's just Disneyland. And there was a statement from Ken Potrock he made on Twitter, and here's this quote: "We want to thank our annual pass holders for their understanding during this closure period. Due to the continued uncertainty of the pandemic and limitations around the reopening of our California theme parks, we will be issuing appropriate refunds for eligible Disneyland Resort annual passports and sunsetting the current program." And there's the key word. "We are currently developing new membership offerings that will utilize consumer insights to deliver choice, flexibility, and value for our biggest fans." Now, part of this I really do understand. When people buy an annual passport and they can't use it, then you're going to say, okay, we're going to cancel your passports, but we're going to refund you because we understand you haven't been able to use it. We're sorry. We can't help it that we can't open. But when they start saying we're sunsetting the current program and are currently developing new membership offerings, that's when everybody says, whoa.
Yeah.
What? So, yeah, a little bit of a panic. But I did find a thing that they do already have some ideas of what they want to do. And a lot of the locals around Disneyland have said well, they were just waiting for an excuse to do this anyway. Because I know Disneyland has had, I guess, issues with having too many locals and a lot of locals just kind of hanging out. That kind of makes sense to me. If I was local, I wouldn't mind just being there, just taking in, just go watch a show or two, just kind of on the way home, just taking in the ambiance of Disney just to relax after work. I totally understand that. I don't think I'd want to take that away from people myself. But I guess if it gets to where there's too many, I guess I understand the thought of it, but I also understand the point of view of people who would want to do that. I would, if I could, I would.
Yeah, and I completely get that as well. The trouble is when you've got a couple who insists on being the last guests of the night to ride Peter Pan, or you've got someone who is setting a record of how many times they can ride a particular ride and bring a great big sign every time they reach a milestone. I see that and I see, well, there's 5,000 people who may not have been able to ride the ride. Yeah. So with Disneyland having, estimates are close to there's 1 million annual pass holders for Disneyland. The last several years that my family were pass holders, Disneyland, it was crowded. We could only get on a few rides, even with the Fast Pass. We weren't having as good of a time as we had hoped. And a lot of that is simply attributed to the number of people who are in the parks. And a considerable number were annual pass holders. Now, Disney has been trying to make some changes over the last few years. They've removed lower tier passes. They've brought them back. They removed parking as one of the benefits for annual pass holders for most categories. But with COVID coming around, I guarantee that if the annual pass holder program was in place when the park opened, there would be 150,000 people waiting to get into the park day one. There's just no way that Disney can prepare or plan for the logistics of that when it comes back. What they've been doing out in Walt Disney World, again, where the annual pass program is still being maintained to an extent, no new annual passes are being sold for Disney World. Right now, the only exceptions to that are people who are renewing their pass. If you have a family member who at the time you bought your annual pass is now of age to own a pass, they turned 3 years old, you can buy them an annual pass. But it's very, very limited as to who can buy a Disney World annual pass. Disneyland is actually following the example of Tokyo Disneyland from earlier this year, who also suspended their annual pass program. The programs that they are looking at to bring back do have different price points, different tiers, allow a certain number of entries. Actually, I take that back. There are some tiers that they're surveying on that indicate an unlimited amount of days that you can go. However, you have to make reservations in advance before you go, which is what currently is the program at Walt Disney World. Yeah. So, but just because, you may want to get that last ride of the night on Peter Pan every night because you have to make these reservations in advance, you may not be able to get it every day. In fact, there's a good chance you may not get it every week. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Annual pass holders, while there are a good number of people who will go and use Disneyland as the mall or an alternative to the mall, there are other people who are just as enthusiastic and excited to go into the parks to buy merchandise, to eat at the dining locations there. It had to have been a tough decision for Disney to make, but I can understand how they came to that decision. And personally, I've been advocating for years for an annual pass program that allows you, let's say, maybe 30 entries per year. You don't need to be there every day, but you like to go and visit when you have the opportunity to. For me and my family, that's more than twice a month, which would be perfect for us. We're not local. It's not exactly easy for us to get there. And, if something like that were available for $500 as opposed to paying $1,300 for an annual pass, we'd go for that if we had the unlimited ability to decide what days we want to go. Just as long as we know, you get 30 days. Okay, I can live with that. And that's the type of pass program that I would love to see. But for people who do live in Southern California, they may have a different thought on that.
Yeah. And, even if you can't go into the park as you don't have a reservation, you just spontaneously want to go and do something Disney, you can always go into the shopping
Downtown
area.
Disney.
Downtown Disney. I wanted to call it Disney Springs, and I realized that wasn't right. It's like Disney Springs is Walt Disney World. But you can always go into Downtown Disney and go hang out around in there. No problem.
That's right.
So you still have something you can do, because I understand the spontaneity, because we've had to adjust even with our local zoo in Kansas City. There's like a spontaneous Saturday. My wife would be like, let's just go walk around the zoo, because we do our Friends of the Zoo passes. We've only gotten to go once this year, and we had to do it by reservation, and that was mainly for COVID. I don't know if things have loosened up since then. But we had to plan ahead, like, okay, we have an appointment to be at the gate at this time, at this day, and then we're allowed inside the zoo because they had to control the numbers. And I see that could be how Disneyland could function for just annual passes as a regular thing, not just during COVID, but like, okay, set up a reservation, because really, if you're wanting to go in and have a meal somewhere, which I could see a lot more at Walt Disney World, I think they got a lot more dining options within the resort, and you do reserve a lot of places.
Yeah.
But say, oh, we want to go and eat over there this Friday night or this Saturday. Let's go and set up a reservation so we can come in and eat at whatever place and enjoy a few rides and then come home.
Yeah.
That makes some sense to me, because this isn't like your average theme park. This is Disneyland.
Right.
So, this is, they do have to, it's going to attract a lot more people than, say, Worlds of Fun here in Kansas City does, where you can just spontaneously just go in. Yeah. Because it's the bad stepchild of Cedar Point, where it's not Knott's Berry Farm, so they don't give a rat's rear. Let's face it. Well, those of us in Kansas City, we know. So
speaking of Knott's Berry Farm, they did have an interesting response to Disneyland's sunsetting of the annual pass program. They said, "We love annual pass holders. We're glad to see you come back." Universal was a little bit more shady on the announcement themselves. But there have been a lot of changes going on at the Disney parks. The sunsetting of the program in Disneyland. Over in Walt Disney World, you're no longer getting a complimentary Magic Band with a hotel reservation. They are not going to be offering the Magical Express after 2022. So there are, little changes happening all across the parks. And so, some people are saying, well, that just ruins the magic. Other people are saying, well, everyone else has to pay for it. Why not you? So, it's going to be interesting to see, what comes out on the other side.
Yeah, and I saw some photos. They're doing some construction on part of the monorail in front of, which one of the resorts?
Tron? Oh.
Well, it wasn't the Tron, but the monorail, they were tearing down a portion of it to update it, something. I remember seeing the photographs. And I remember some people on Facebook and some Facebook Disney groups were kind of freaked out. Where was that? It was part of the monorail track that they needed to take something down. But as I said, if you paid it, because everybody was like, "Oh, but I have such great memories of that." It's like they're rebuilding it. They're fixing something up. I forgot all the details. I remember seeing it on Facebook. I should have kept the article.
Speaking of which, I do have one other bit of Disney news that I don't believe we've covered.
Oh, and what's that?
That is an outpost for Galaxy's Edge in downtown Disney in a new location.
Yeah, I heard a location was, they were taking out one location to turn it into a Star Wars.
Yes. Well, downtown Disney, one of the opening businesses down there was the Rainforest Cafe. They had a two-story restaurant inside of this Mayan-themed temple. Well, that has been unoccupied for the past 2, maybe 3 years, ever since that failed hotel project fell through that was going to be over by the Disneyland Hotel. However, the Galaxy's Edge Trading Post took over another location in downtown Disney called the Wonderground Gallery, which was a neat little place because it sold art of different styles. Stuff you're not going to find in the park. Maybe you'd find something by Shag. You would find Tim Burton-esque type illustrations of Disney characters there, and you'd certainly find regular, Disney style drawings and stuff there. Well, they took the Wonderground Gallery out to allow a place for Galaxy's Edge merchandise to be sold on downtown Disney, but it's a fairly small storefront. By opening up the former Rainforest Cafe in, again, this Mayan-themed temple, which it's not going to take too much to convert it to look like something off of A New Hope.
Yeah.
You not only have more space to sell items, but you now have, maybe up on the second floor, maybe they can convert part of that for lightsaber building.
Ooh, or even keep some of the restaurant aspects and have like a cantina area.
Exactly. So, it's going to be interesting to see how that space is utilized. And I don't believe that a date has been given for when that is going to open up. But again, that's another way that folks might be able to get a little bit of that Galaxy's Edge experience without having to enter the park.
Yeah. So, see, if Disneyland has to do limit like 30 days that you get on your pass, and you just spontaneously want to go do something Star Wars, you don't want to reserve, you don't have time to reserve, just go to downtown Disney and go visit the Star Wars store. I mean, that makes sense.
Yes.
See? So you can get your Star Wars fix. That way also is a good way to have your Star Wars fix if you can't manage to get your reservation in the resort down in Florida. I've been seeing some photos of it's moving along really good. I'm never going to be able to afford that. But oh my goodness, that looks so cool. So... but we better move. Oh, well, we got one last news item I want to get to before we move into the trailer park. And that is, I am so excited that I just want to throw my hands up and yell, yay! The Muppet Show 4 and 5 while we're still alive is finally happening, not on DVD, but on Disney Plus. We're going to get all 5 seasons of The Muppet Show. And I have heard that they've got their licensing all fixed up so they can put music. There were shows that had songs in it that they weren't able to put on DVD or something, but all those episodes are putting back in. So better believe I'm going to binge watch. I don't know how long it'll take me, but I'm binging the heck out of the Muppet Show. Even though I do have like three sets of the seasons, like I don't care. I'll sit and watch them all because it's the Muppet Show.
Exactly. We're going to get every single Gonzo trumpet. We're going to get every single bad joke by Fozzie. We're going to get every single heckle by Statler and Waldorf.
Oh, it'll be heaven. It'll be heaven.
And plus, it's got all those great stars from the late 70s.
Yes.
And it will show the true merging of Disney, Muppets, and Star Wars with the Mark Hamill episode.
Yes, which I actually do have on a legit DVD, but I don't know what season it happened because it's not on one of my seasons. It's on. I got a Time Life. It is supposed to be
season
third
3.
Season. I don't think I saw it on my regular DVD, but I have the Time Life one, so I can pull that out. And it is fantastic. And the funny part about it is at the end of it, they're on on Coosbane, I believe. And they actually sing When You Wish Upon a Star, and this castle comes up in the background. It's like, ooh, they knew. But
forget the Simpsons predicting the future. It's the Muppets.
The Muppets had it a long time ago because you got Mark Hamill and Chewbacca out there singing. Come on. That is like one of the coolest Muppet
tap
moments.
Dancing.
Yes. Oh, I'm gonna have to pull that episode out, and I'm gonna be busy today though because I got the NFC Championship game is going on right now, and the AFC is later, and the Chiefs are hopefully gonna win the Buffalo Bills today. Otherwise I might be upset next show because I'll be like, the Chiefs not going Super Bowl. Okay. But yes, I'm wigging out. I cannot wait. That's February 19th. That is my Valentine's gift from Disney. I am perfectly happy. I'm like, oh. So I should put a countdown on my calendar up here. I got a Snoopy calendar on my wall. I should just start marking down the days because I'm going to go Muppet crazy. I may forget to watch WandaVision, which we're still going to talk about here a little bit later. But before we do that, I do want to visit the trailer park real fast because they finally dropped this trailer for a movie that I think we've all been waiting for if we're giant monster fans, really.
Mama, another gator got in the house.
Another gator? Give me that sugar. Come here.
Get him, Mama. Get that gator.
The Neverland trailer park.
Godzilla versus Kong. It's finally happening. And I was wondering Kaiju battle. I was wondering how they were going to make this work because I know back in the day, and I heard a rumor there was an American version and a Japanese version, and like in the Japanese version Godzilla one and the American version Kong one. I don't know if that's completely true, but I have seen like the ending of that one where Kong wins. So, but like here we got a new version, but apparently we've got some because Godzilla they've gone with the more heroic style Godzilla because Godzilla, depending upon what era you're looking at, there's either Hero Godzilla or Destruction Godzilla, and so. In honor of that, Godzilla is for some reason mad at humanity now and has gone from his heroic ways to trashing the humans. And so they are bringing back characters from the last movie, including, I forgot what her character's name was, but 11.
Millie
she's
Bobby
in
Brown.
there. Yeah, Millie Bobby Brown. She's in there. and wondering, well, why is Godzilla mad at us? Why is he attacking humans? Because he just saved us from all the monsters in King of the Monsters. So there's that question, and then there's like Kong is being brought off of his island because that's what they do with King Kong. They don't leave him alone. They drag him off his island and put him here in the States where he just wants to be left alone. That's King Kong for you. Now, if he ends up climbing up in a building and getting shot down and killed, then I guess they've gone the entire arc with King Kong. But Kong versus Godzilla, giant monsters beating the stuffing out of each other. And the funny part is the music, and I don't know if I can really play the audio for this because of some rap song that's in there. But the funny thing is when you watch this trailer online, there's rap music playing, and you feel like you're about to watch a boxing match. The way it's spelled up, it feels like a Rocky movie. You know, I'm surprised they didn't get, I'm going to knock you out, you know, or something. But that's what the trailer feels like.
Well, if Godzilla goes running up the steps of the Philadelphia Art Museum, then...
Drago! Or something. Yeah, but
that's up a mountain in Russia.
Right, I know, but it's still funny. The King Kong could do that because he'd be going Drago, because Drago sounds like dragon anyway. So Godzilla, Gojira.
Well, I'll just be happy so long as it does not have Matthew Broderick talking about a pile of fish.
Yeah, or Godzilla being pregnant. Yeah, but so they really did. They just had to put it out there to let us know it's existing. It's going to draw an audience automatically because it's just, these have not been critical hits, but they're just good popcorn, stupid fun. Really,
yeah, I really enjoyed Kong Skull Island. You know, it surprised me how much I liked it. In fact, I've got that and Godzilla King of the Monsters, which I haven't seen, queued up on my HBO Max account to watch soon.
And I'm going to watch, I need to rewatch both of the Godzilla movies. Although King of the Monsters was a lot better. The first Godzilla, it was too much focus on people and forgot that, hey, look, giant monsters fighting. Can I see the giant monsters fighting? That's what we watch Godzilla for. So, but the King of the Monsters was like, oh, you wanted giant monsters fighting? Here you go. So, and here's all of them, you know, it's like, I can't remember like Gamora, but Gamora is not the right word I'm thinking. But yeah, there was lots of monsters. It was Ghidorah. I think King Ghidorah showed up in that one. Oh, it was so cool. And Kong Skull Island, I haven't watched yet, but I heard a lot of good things. I just never got around to watching it. I got it queued up ready to go too. So we're going to get our monster on. But all right, we'll turn a quick corner and we'll have to be brief because we got to get into this conversation with Sean Ayala. I had to have him tell me how to say his name because I knew I was going to blow it because I'm very bad at that sort of thing. But we'll call this a TV review. That way I can play a sounder right here.
Hello out there in TV land.
Now here's something we hope you'll really like.
A Neverland podcast television review.
Wandavision premiered last week.
Wandavision.
Yeah, I love the theme songs. They're just so much fun. And I think this has hit people where people weren't it's like people weren't paying attention to know what this was going to be. They're like, oh, it's a Marvel show. And it's like they got caught off guard by what we knew was coming. They said it was going to be kind of a goofball comedy sitcom parody. And that's what we got. Right. But we've been getting those hints that something's going on underneath. It's going to come to fruition. And I've enjoyed it. It's been silly. They've goofed on Dick Van Dyke. They goofed on Bewitched. They've goofed on the Brady Bunch. I've actually kind of been laughing at the corny jokes they've come up with, because boy, are they corny.
Yes,
but
yes.
Those little secret things that, you know, even in black and white, something would pop up in color and it would have a sword emblem on it. And I'm like, I think I know what's been happening, especially... Okay, so here's where the spoiler warning comes in. If you have not watched the third episode or even the first two episodes, skip ahead 5-10 minutes to where you'll hear me talking to somebody other than Eric, and that's where you're fine and safe. Because I don't want to spoil this. We'll see you in a few minutes. So I kind of suspected something's going on because I recognized the symbol of a group called Sword, which I remember reading about. I've got some of the Spider-Woman comics that they had. They had it wasn't really a web comic. It was like a motion comic, but they did a little animated Spider-Woman. Mm-hmm. I bought the comic adaptation of that even. But it's about Spider-Woman being recruited into Sword to look for Skrulls that were still hiding after the secret invasion. Mm-hmm. So I was like, an alien task force. And we've already seen with alien technology, like Nick Fury is able to take a vacation even though he was out in space, so they can do a complete simulation of something. So my theory is that we're seeing Sword, and I think everybody other than Wanda and Vision are Skrulls that are living in this nice little simulated world. but I don't know what Wanda's doing there, other than maybe Wanda seems to want to not have anything altered, because there's like these, she can alter reality anyway, but we see these slight changes when somebody, or Vision, anybody says something she doesn't like, mainly Vision.
Yes.
She'll go and edit it. And I think she's trying to just live out her best life with Vision that she was denied when Vision had the mind gem ripped out of his head. So maybe Vision can only exist inside this make-believe world. And so she's in there just living her life with Vision that she wants. But there might be something else going on with that as well. And I believe that was, is it Monica Rambeau? Isn't she the one who's Geraldine? Isn't that her?
Yes, that's the actress who's playing Monica Rambeau in
That's
Going
what
Forward.
I thought.
So it's going to be interesting. Now, one thing, Sword, and I know they were introduced back in Joss Whedon's Astonishing X-Men series. But definitely the Jessica Drew Spider-Woman series drew a lot with Sword and Abigail Brand running it. One thing I've noticed is that this might not be the same organization we know from the comics.
Right. Well, neither are the Skrulls the same that we know from the comics.
No, they're not. But the Sword in the comics is the Sentient World Observation and Reporting Department, whereas in WandaVision, it's the Sentient Weapon Observation and Reporting Department.
Oh, no, I have not caught that. Where did you catch that?
I found that in all sorts of different materials online, talking about what Sword in the MCU stands for. So it's definitely a different thing. Now, there have been definite hints that there's something more insidious going on than just Wanda living out her best American-style life. And I foresee an explanation for the way that this has been set up is Wanda is created this reality based upon American sitcoms that she may have seen growing up in Sokovia.
Yeah, which it could be completely a simulation generated by them, or it could be completely her, because she has that capability. And I think now with the merger with Fox, to where we can finally maybe go full mutant with the Scarlet Witch, she can alter all of reality. And for anyone who's curious about it, go look at House of M and find out what happens when Wanda decides to say no more mutants.
Exactly. Now, it's interesting that you mentioned bringing in Fox.
Yes.
We might see some I know we may be seeing a familiar face pop up within the next few episodes.
Could be.
From the Fox series of films. Not necessarily from the MCU.
We've even heard Deadpool is being brought into the MCU, as is R-rated film, which means we won't be able to cover it on our show, because I don't do R-rated films.
Right.
But Deadpool's coming, and I don't know who he's bringing with it. I don't know how they're going to integrate the X-Men franchise.
Well, we do know that WandaVision is going to tie into Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So you've got Multiverse right there. And you know who's directing that?
I remember seeing it, but I forgot. I think it's the same director doing some of the WandaVision, though.
No, Sam Raimi.
Sam Raimi's... Oh, I knew it was some sort of horror guy. It was Sam Raimi then. Ooh, I love when Sam Raimi does comic book stuff. Mainly because a fan of the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films,
Exactly. And we know that the multiverse, looks to be figuring into the next Spider-Man movie as well. So,
yeah.
WandaVision is going to definitely have some impact on the Marvel Universe going forward.
Yes. And so I'm enjoying the corny jokes and everything. I'm having a ball. I've seen people complaining online, but I'm thinking, all right, if you're not getting what you expect, but just stick with it. They're just giving you something different, but the stuff is going to hit the fan here. I mean, I don't know how many episodes we got. I forgot.
9.
Nine. I'm thinking it's like 8 or 9. Okay. And we're only 3 in. There's 6 episodes, and we're starting to already turn some corners because Monica Rambeau just got ejected because she was breaking up the narrative of what Wanda wanted. Wanda's getting... I love the fact that they have their twin children, because in the comics, Wanda and Vision did have a child. I don't know the details of that. They did have
twins, yes.
Okay, see, because I don't pay attention to Avengers usually. I just read I was back in the 90s, I was reading X-Men, I was reading Spider-Man, but I wasn't reading Avengers, so.
This one goes back to the 80s.
Back in the 80s?
Yeah,
wow.
to the Wanda and Vision comic book series. And, there, again, in that series, there's insidious underground as to what's going on and where these children came from. And in this, we've got kids coming up within 24 hours. It's
yeah.
It's not a Carol Danvers emergency baby situation like she had on her stint with the Avengers back in the day. Oh, looking by your face, are you familiar with that story?
Like I said, I wasn't reading Avengers. I was reading Spider-Man and X-Men back in the 90s and whatnot.
Crazy story. It goes back to the early 80s in which Carol Danvers became pregnant, had a child, and the child was its own father. And
what?
Yeah, it was a crazy storyline. And that
was weirder than Terminator, where the guy sends his own father, or basically, John Connor sent his own father back in time to father himself.
Right.
Which was weird enough, but this is even. I'm my own grandpa.
Hey, it's either Marvel or it's Futurama, so what have you?
Yeah, there's a deep cut there. I've seen that episode. That is a messed up episode.
But with that being said, back to WandaVision. It really is beautifully crafted. I've heard that they spent something like $25 million per episode. And while you may not see that money in these first couple of episodes, remember, this is a 9-episode series. This is coming, with Kevin Feige producing it. This is fully a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We are going to be seeing familiar faces come up. They might not be the, recognizable Avengers, but we're going to be seeing some side characters from the other movies pop up and show up within this series very soon. And nobody has any idea where this is really ultimately headed.
It's this great mystery with just corny jokes and just fun. And I needed something lighthearted and fun here this year. It was a great way to kick off the year to go and watch this. I'm enjoying it. It's silly, it's goofy, and it's got me intrigued of what's going on?
And they've got a fun cast as well.
Yeah. They were all so silly. They're just over the cheesy, and I love when they were accidentally we're breaking the narrative, a little bit of panic, trying to keep their cheesy smile on at the end of the 3rd episode. I'm like, woo! They know something's up, but they're afraid to say anything because they may do something. The neighbor's dog is staring at me. Hi, neighbor's dog. Okay, I guess he's done. All right.
Now that's your situation, not WandaVision.
Yeah, that's my situation.
Just want to clarify.
It was just weird. I looked out the window, and the neighbor's cute little doggy had one paw up in the air and just staring right at me like, what's going on? So, okay.
The dog knows what's going on with WandaVision.
The dog knows.
He's watching you.
It's Nick Fury in disguise.
His Nick greatest disguise, yes.
I wouldn't be surprised if Nick Fury's going to be popping up. That's one thing I need to do. I need to actually finish watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I never finished the season with the where they were in space. And I feel like I might be missing what might be a puzzle piece that might land somewhere in here.
Possibly. I've heard that the later seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. really don't tie into the MCU. No one disappeared with the Thanos snap. So
really?
Yeah. So it I think it's its own thing, but so were the Defenders. But we know that something of the Defenders is becoming part of the Marvel Universe as well. So
yeah, I've been hearing some Daredevil talk.
Yeah.
Because I like the way they presented Daredevil on Netflix. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
I didn't watch everything that Netflix had, but I don't think I can get to it anymore. I don't know if it's still on there.
It's still available.
It is still there. I might have to go through and watch it, but I heard it kind of petered out. It fell apart a little bit. So so I was like, okay, well maybe I'll hang back and we'll see if it gets blended back in. So, but anyways, I really probably better get this rolling because I was meant to have this first part of the show to go for 15 minutes and we have talked for an hour.
Almost an hour, yeah.
So, and I still got more fun stuff to present to you when I have a nice conversation. We'll just dive right into it. And so here's me talking to, and I'll let him say his name. But grab your power sword and lift it in the air by the power of Grayskull. We're moving on to a complete...
have the power.
Or for those who remember way back in the day when I used to go, I have a podcast. There's a deep cut.
To Disney and beyond.
Okay, Neverlanders, this is going to be fun, and I'm bringing in somebody that you ain't never heard of before. So, but you're going to love what he's got to say and what he's got to talk about, because I kind of stumbled upon something, because that's some of the most fun things that happen online is just stumbling upon something awesome. So we're going to meet our new friend here. He's working on a fan game, and I hope Mattel sees what he's doing and says, hey, that's awesome. We need to make sure that's published. So you get paid for all this work, because you're making a Masters in the Universe. I don't know if you call it like 8-bit because it's like Nintendo, but it's also reminds me of Atari a little bit. So what would you call it? Like a 8-bit or a 2-bit? What?
You know what? So hello everyone, Sean Ayala here, the creator and developer of Play Mo 2. It's the first Filmation inspired Masters of the Universe. I'm calling it a retro game. A game that we should have gotten back in the late 80s. So my goal in my head, it is kind of 8-bit because it's Nintendo. I'm trying to go with that NES original Sega type feel, but even with all the ability of graphics today, you can kind of push it a little, but I want that error that we should have gotten for this game. Shoot.
Yeah. Because back in the old Atari, they did make a Masters Universe game, and it wasn't very good.
And
it was basically flying and you wanted to go and punch Skeletor in the face, and it's they weren't going to let you do it.
Yeah, for me, so I never got to play that Atari game. Is it an Atari? Like, so ever since I started bringing this up on Instagram and Twitter, like everyone has been very amazing at just supporting it and like wanting to contribute to the idea. Because again, like, and I have never seen anything like this done before. So this is the first opportunity that we can actually get the He-Man. And I'm probably going to remove He-Man. I wanted to just be Masters of the Universe because I do want to add in She-Ra and like, Hordak and all that kind of stuff. Because I think that's something that we could play with and explore. I mean, again, this is something we never gotten before. And it's incredible how many of just the Motu fans out there are providing their input around like Ladybird books. Like we should be leveraging that or comics. And so I know for sure I want to start off from a Filmation perspective because I think Filmation is the one that kind of like drove it to its incredible peak. And a lot of people are more familiar with that. But who knows? I mean, this is such a limitless type of property based on just all the things that have been created from the comic book perspective and the TV show. I don't want to touch the movie. I don't want to touch the recent 2000X, but original Filmation is where I wanted to start.
Yeah, and I think that's formed some of our early bonds. I mean, I remember that show started, I think I was probably 5 years old when I remember watching it. And it was weekday afternoons. They had the old 60s Batman series on, and then He-Man would kick in. And I was like, what is, because I had seen like lunchboxes and stuff at school, and I was like, what is this? This looks so cool. And then finally getting a cartoon of it, I was like, oh, I was totally in from day one. Just that was my thing.
Me too.
I didn't have that many toys, but
me too. I have a twin brother, and him and I mean, we had Castle Grayskull. We had it all. I mean, I can't remember every single toy we had, but like we have this one picture of me and him, and he's got we're twins, so I don't even know who's got who in their hands. But like I either have the He-Man, he has the Skeletor, not Panther, and then Battle Cat, and it's just it's cool. I mean that whole property line, like just what they were able to do with it. It's just incredible. And like, I feel like now with technology now caught up, never in my wildest dream would I thought I would be creating a game. Like this is the first time I've even like really decided to say, I'm going to create a game. And then I'm like, well, what will that game be? And like, I remember we never got a He-Man game. This is the game I'm going to try and develop.
Right.
So, I mean, a real He-Man game, not a legit one. So I don't know. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I have seen some pretty good attempts. There's a pretty decent beat 'em up somebody created.
The arcade version.
Yeah, it's kind of arcadey-ish. Yeah, it's pretty neat. Yeah,
it's like they took the real cartoon characters out of the Filmation version and turned it into a game. That one is pretty cool. I don't have a PC, so I haven't had the opportunity to make it. I meant play it, but that one I want to play. I did have the opportunity. I don't know if you were able to play the iOS version, the app, not the recent app. What is this one called?
Well, I'm an Android user, so if it's available on Android,
it's called He-Man and He-Man Adventures. Is that what it's called? He-Man, the most powerful game in the universe. That was the original one that tried to make it more Filmation driven. But again, it was a platform that was just platform gamer that was kind of basic, and it didn't really like. It didn't bring you into the story like with Merman or Trapjaw or like the cartoon. Like, so I don't know, but that's
and then the
device for that one.
Yeah, that Tappers game was disappointing to me too.
Oh my gosh.
It's like, well, look, I get to go and rub my finger on characters and just sit there and rubbing my fingers. That's it. So.
Yeah, I mean, the characters are cool. Like, I'm like, all right, cool, you have the characters, but it truly was a disappointing game for sure. Yeah. Just like all the other property stuff that came after it. We're hoping for that one glimmer of light that will give us hope for this He-Man property. So.
Yeah, we want to go on an adventure as He-Man, and I know they did try to do one that I guess it didn't sell very well. I barely heard of it, and I think it's on the PS2, but there was a He-Man game based around the 2000X series, which I didn't find out about until like years later, and it was too late, and I've never even seen it in a store, but I would try it just because. I mean, I like the idea. If we ever get to the point where we do get a modern-style He-Man game on the PS4, or, well, PS5 even, a nice open-world Eternia would be amazing.
Yes.
I mean, somebody mod the heck out of Skyrim or something, man. Come on.
Yes.
Let me be He-Man on Skyrim. Something.
They did include him into this like toy soldier type of game where is the toys against toys, and then He-Man is in there. So that one I thought was pretty cool. But man, like I wanted to create a game that, again, like I wish we all had, that actually takes us through the adventure. Because I remember as a kid watching all these episodes, and I repurchased the entire collection, right? Like I have it on DVD, nice. I have it on Apple iTunes, and like there's some really good adventurous stories. Although He-Man really never used his sword. But
right.
I'm like, he's always picking up boulders. Like, I'm like, okay, cool. I got to incorporate that into the game. But there's some really really cool adventures, I think, that can be explored into a 8-bit style game, again, that I wish we all had. So, and I feel like there's people today that would actually play it. That's my hope. But I'm creating it for me because I never got it. So I want it.
Yeah, and if you have the ability to make something, hey, I never got this when I was a kid, I'll make it, then go for it.
Yeah.
So how long you been making games? I mean, where did that start?
So again, like this. So actually, I don't want to say I never made a game before, but I did go to school back in the days for. I have a degree in multimedia and graphic design. So part of the course back in those days was learning how to code a website, how to use Flash, and create interactive menus and DVD menus at that time. This was back in 1999, 2000-ish, 2002. And I remember creating just a game for one of my portfolio, which was a remake of Space Invaders. So I remember doing that, and I kind of placed me in it and made it interesting enough that it was kind of new, but it was just all for portfolio reasons, because I wanted to show that I could do something interactive. And then, man, I don't remember ever playing or creating or touching anything from a gaming perspective till my son was talking about, because during COVID, I'm like, okay, we're not going to stay in the house. I need you to figure out what we're going to do with all our lives, right? And he, out of the three things that he talked about, coding was one of it. And I'm like, okay, well, let me quickly do some searching online. There's always something that you can find on Google and YouTube that will enable you to do something creative. So I came across an application called GDevelop. And GDevelop is a free software that allows you to create games. And I'm like, okay, I've always wanted to do something myself. Hoping that I was going to inspire him. I ended up inspiring myself to like create something. And so back in, I want to say September, I had this really ambitious idea for a game. I wanted to do like this 80s mix of just like Back to the Future and E.T. and He-Man. And it was a really ambitious game. And when I started learning about sprites and animation and all the little things that had to go into this, I was like, oh no, this ain't happening. and then I said, okay, well, I could probably start with one character. And then I just thought of He-Man. I'm like, wait a minute, He-Man is one of my passions. Like I grew up loving He-Man. I have all the books for Dark Horse. I have Dark Horse. I have not all, but I have the majority of the original waves of the Masters of the Universe Classics, MattyCollection.com line downstairs. So I have a ton of them. And I'm like, I can just do a He-Man one. Like, let's start off with He-Man. And so it was born on in September this year during COVID. And just recently figured out, I'm teaching myself all the coding through YouTube. There's a gentleman that I follow from Wish Force Games. He's amazing. He teaches you the basic of using GDevelop, and behold, taking all my graphic design skills and everything that I've learned in the past, because I'm a marketer during the day, and started developing this game. And now I finally got a beta out, and thankfully I'm getting some good responses. People aren't giving me anything negative, and so I'm taking it for what it's worth at the moment, and we're chugging along, and I'm creating piece by piece. So not long.
Nice.
Not long.
Yeah, I think so far I've only gotten to try out the demo, and it was neat because you've added dialogue, and it almost seems like you've pulled from the episodes and kind of brought some of those stories to life for us.
I did.
That we get to play in there.
What was your favorite part of the game? But was there anything that stood out to you, or was it just that you were able to play as He-Man?
Probably just because I was able to play as He-Man, but I did love the opening animation where you kind of recreated the opening of the show a little bit, and having the MIDI file of the original theme song. Because you didn't animate the whole thing completely, but just having it there and represented in the game was like, yes.
Thank you. I appreciate
I got super excited.
Yeah. Well, so it was based off of, because the one thing that I didn't want to create a beta of I didn't want to create a beta that a person would play where it's just He-Man. Because then I feel like if they were just playing as He-Man, it would be like any other game. I wanted to really get people to buy into the idea that 1, you're Prince Adam, 2, you can change from Prince Adam to He-Man, and then you're on this journey to try to get to Battle Cat, but you're not, or to say Cringer, but you weren't sure if you was going to be able to ride Battle Cat or turn Cringer into Battle Cat. And I wanted people to experience that all in that moment, because the moment I created Battle Cat and the moment I figured out how to get He-Man on top of Battle Cat, my life changed. I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I wanted forever. And I wanted people to feel that too. And I don't know if people are, but man, that was a special moment for me. But yes, and it was based off of a cartoon. It was based off of one of the episodes that were out there where Beastman did take Cringer. So I wanted to just also add that into it as well.
Yeah, and when I was playing through, I was like, this seems familiar. This is an episode. I know it's an episode. I remember watching this. I couldn't put my finger exactly on it, but I was like, I know this story. Yeah. So it was nice, a little bit of platforming, a little bit of puzzle solving, getting to fight while on Battle Cat was pretty awesome. I was like, dude.
That's cool.
So, yeah. And then the demo ended. I was like, wait a minute, where's the rest of the game?
So there's a couple people who streamed it on YouTube already, and I'm like, oh, it's only a 7-minute game. I got to make this one. I got to make the beta longer, just so people can enjoy it. Because I think the moment you get the Battle Cat, you kind of have an idea of the game, but then it kind of ends quickly too. So
yeah,
I don't know. I'm excited for it. I'm excited for what it can become if I'm able to pull it off. So we'll see.
And so far, so good. And like I said, I really hope like Filmation and Mattel will take a look at some fan games and say like, hey, get this released to where, I could play it on my console where I'd have my controller. Because I think when I played through the demo, I think I had to do it on a keyboard. And I'm not good on a PC keyboard.
Yep.
I want my PlayStation controller in my hand because that's what I'm comfortable with. So granted, okay, first-person shooter, I guess it's better with a mouse. Okay, you can make that case. But, I like my controller. It's more comfortable for me. And I would love to see this get put in like the PlayStation App Store and officially giving you a license, Because, small independent game developers, we'll look at stuff like Stardew Valley. Just one guy suddenly created this whole thing. And it's an homage to, a lot of games he played, like Harvest Moon and stuff like that. So, in a way, this is like an homage to the character of He-Man and all those great platformers we had back on the Nintendo. So I'm thinking, if they maybe get a look at this and say, hey, this is pretty cool, and it's being very respectful of our property, and people would buy this. So
yeah, and that's my hope too. I kind
of got hope for you
because I think many of us who are seeing all the things that are happening to Masters of the Universe, like we are very overprotective on this property, and the moment you mess this up, like it will be known. And I think that goes with everything on. And I don't want to make this something that will disrespect the whole property and the franchise. That's the word I keep looking for, franchise. So I'm hoping that, and again, I'm not creating this to get any special recognition at all, but if someone happens to want to like partner, like I'd definitely be open to that. But I have gotten a few comments where people ask, can this go on the Nintendo Switch gaming app, or can this go on PlayStation or Xbox? And I know for sure at the moment what I'm trying to figure out at least is to create the game that will allow a USB controller, because I have the old school Super Nintendo controller that I can plug into my computer. I'm hoping to at least get that far so I can at least get the controller function so that way people don't have to use the keyboard. Because I agree, when I was creating it, it was kind of odd for me using the keyboard. But then I realized there is a complete generation out there who's using like what is it called? Stream.com and just all these other gaming sites that you're downloading games that still needs to be used by your computer keyboard. But that's just me at a first glance because I'm completely new to this gaming thing. But I agree. Like I do want to upgrade this so it can allow the ability to use a controller, and or if I'm able to figure out how to get it into the app stores for Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, like I want to do that for sure. Because I think that'd be
all
fun.
it would take is some good licensing. If they go ahead and grant you the licensing and everything, and they get behind you, that would be awesome. Because I think they know Mattel. I think is really noticing that they're getting a good resurgence. Because you've had the Matty collector, and you managed to collect them all. I didn't manage to get a thing because they were super expensive. I just couldn't afford it. But here recently, now we've got these Masters of the Universe Origins. Yes. Now, granted, they're $15 a figure, and it used to be back in the day you could get them for $3. $5, but $15. I can afford 15. I can do it one at a time, and I think I've hit my limit, though, of what I'm going to do, because I don't have any more wall space, for one. But I've got all of Wave 1.
Oh, congratulations.
And I even got duplicates of He-Man Skeletor. So, woohoo, I was so proud of myself to manage to get it all. I've slowly been seeing Wave 2 coming out now at Target, and I'm not that pleased with what they did with the Battle Armor characters, because they kind of shrunk down the function. But I want the extra heads because they have like an original style He-Man head that looks like the classic figure. I want that head, and I want the Skeletor head, and I even want the extra hands because they have a second hand where I could have Skeletor grasping his Havoc stick and a sword. So I kind of want the accessory pieces, but the figures don't look that great. And so if I got them, I would probably go ahead and take them out of the packages. But then I noticed those deluxe figures, $20, so you're paying $5 for the extra hand and extra head.
Extra head.
So I feel like Mattel is going to find a way to nail this. But Mattel is noticing they're making a lot of money because we're going crazy buying these Origin figures because they're just priced right. Where now as parents, and fathers and mothers, I've seen both, they're buying these and they're playing with their kids. Like, hey, I loved these toys when I was a kid. Come and check this out. And there's people who buy like 5 of each one just so they can collect one. Yeah. But I am seeing some people saying, hey, these are great. I'm playing with my kids. And Mattel is encouraging that. They made this really great stop motion commercial of, trying to, hey, we used to love these with a kid. And they're trying to encourage the kid over. And then by the end, the kid is playing with his parents and playing He-Man. And I like that idea because we've gotten into an age where, kids are not playing with toys so much. They're playing with their phone. And so it's like they're losing that specialness that we had with our toys, when we were kids. So I love the fact that you got this chance to bring in a toy line that we'd enjoyed when we were kids to be like, hey, this is really cool. Check it out. And especially with new cartoons coming on Netflix. I mean, everything's right. Mattel needs a game. And I'm kind of hoping that they kind of notice, oh, hey, look at this little fan game over here. This is pretty cool.
I know. I've been tagging them on Twitter and Mattel. Yeah, Mattel, Masters Official. So, I mean, who knows? But I agree. Like they are on a roller coaster right now because I'm lucky enough. I was able to get the Battle Armor He-Man and the Battle Armor Skeletor. So I have those. And my daughter is 9, and like I love that she's picking them up. She's playing with them, and like it's like I'm introducing her. What I loved growing up, and I'm okay with her playing with them because even this line, this Origin line is made to play with. I mean, yes, collectors are buying doubles and all that kind of stuff. But I go back and forth with like, man, I already have the whole classics line down. Like, not all of it, but I have the majority of them. Like, do I really need a duplicate version of this in an Origins way? But I find myself going down that Target aisle all the time saying, yep, let me pick up She-Ra. Yep, let me get that Mermaid. Let me get that Zodak. So I love what they're doing and having a game right now. And I didn't even think about that when I was creating this game. Like I actually stumbled across the Origin line, not even knowing that they were releasing this. So I don't know if it was just right timing, but like that whole release didn't even influence the game. And it was great because I had a comment on YouTube the other day where a guy was like, this is a great compliment to the Origin line. And I'm like, wow, yeah, it kind of is a great compliment to have, like, because you're going back into your memories around seeing it on the shelf. And then like, ooh, what if we actually had a game that, would complement it all? So, it's very exciting to see. And I can't wait for, the potential movie I'm hearing about that's coming out next. They keep saying this year, but I'm sure it's going to be closer to its 40th year anniversary. Right. And then the Netflix film I'm excited for. I've seen a couple posters. It looks cool. I hope it's going to be great. So,
yeah, because it's one of those, like you were saying, it's a franchise we're very protective of. We want it treated just right. And you mess with it too much, and we're gonna cringe. And we're gonna like the movie that we got before with Dolph Lundgren. It was that cringe of like, this doesn't feel like He-Man. It's got some good merits. It's some cheesy '80s fun, so it's kind of worth watching. But it's also like, this isn't why are we on Earth?
Yeah. It's funny. I actually rewatched that the other day, and yes, I remember going to the movies, watching that when that was released, and I was like, this doesn't feel right to me. This is, But as I'm watching it back, I'm like, okay, I'll give it its pass because they tried. It's not the He-Man we should have gotten, but like I'm like, for its 80s, like that was the only thing that was possible back in the 80s. Great, I'll accept it for what it is. But this next one, we know what is possible. Marvel already set a standard, so we better get that standard like met for He-Man. So yeah.
Oh yeah. And even Daniel Benedict with his fan film, however many years ago that was, I had him on the show, Fall of Grayskull. he did such a good job with it. Granted, I didn't know that he was into that much gore, being the horror fan that he was, and I was a little surprised by the level of violence. Yeah. But it was like, this is really cool. Everything looks the way it should, So
Agreed.
I think he's shown the examples like, yes, we can buy into this. And one thing I think also we've learned, thanks to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that's why Avengers, I think, was so successful, is the Avengers film went ahead and said, you know what? Aliens, I don't care. We're going to have stuff from, interdimensional, whatever kind of stuff going on. And people will buy into it. It seems for a while we had we had to be so realistic that we almost lost the fantasy aspect of some things because they had to have everything had to feel so grounded. Even Spider-Man, the Tobey Maguire ones, had to feel a little grounded.
Yeah.
And they weren't really willing to go that far because Venom, they didn't do a very good job with. But Avengers just pulled the trigger. I'm like, you know what? Alien invasion. What the heck? And audiences went batty for it. We loved it.
Agreed.
So I think it's shown if you go full tilt with He-Man in a film and you make it exactly as it should be, it's going to be epic. And don't do they're going to try to do a new Super Mario Brothers and they're going to just we'll just make it animated and we can do the whole thing the way it should be, which hopefully is going to be better than the old Super Mario Brothers we got in the 90s where we have to keep it grounded and seem almost like it's in the real world, and it just ruined everything that was Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
You have to pull the trigger and just go for it and say, you know what? This is He-Man. He lives on the planet Eternia. His world is somewhere between Star Wars and Conan the Barbarian. I mean, you got to throw it together and just go crazy and have fun.
And I guess that's what I want to make sure that I capture within this just game development of this retro style version that I'm created is really. All I really have is Filmation and comics to really kind of figure out what Eternia looks like. So I'm going to try and leverage that as best as I can, and not go into a completely different type of vision that I would think Eternia would look like. I really want to try my best to leverage as much photography, as much photos, as much record player covers that I've seen in the past, the lunchbox and all, to just make sure that when you're playing this game, you are experiencing it as if you are really there and you're a He-Man and you're having some fun. I don't want to derail it whatsoever. So, but I agree. I think if you can connect with it in that way, then it's worth it. It's worth playing. It's worth sharing. It's worth just talking about. So I'm hoping that'll be the end goal when this is completed. And my hope is to try and get this a full version of this done by PowerCon or GrayskullCon. My wish or goal would be to try and figure out how can I just get that embedded into those events. So, they always say put it out in the world. So I'm putting it out in the world. That's my goal, to hopefully get a completion of this game. So that way I can have more people enjoy it and just enjoy it, So.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll see.
Well, so far so good.
Thank you.
I'm gonna have to go and look for this beta version though. That's I guess longer than the little demo that I've played, which I did stream it, of course.
That was it. So if you downloaded it, that's all that's out there at the moment. Right now, I'm working on adding in a underwater level, which is all going to be tied to a merman type of level, because I think that's another cool thing that I can explore. I'm actually leveraging inspiration from the NES Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle waterboard, but not doing it that way because I know a lot of people were upset with that whole electricity thing and the timer. I remember that game being a complete pain. I don't even think I passed that game because of that level. So, but going back into these old games is kind of cool because it gives me inspiration to just pull from what was. But then I can also, because I wanted to kind of be authentic to that era as well. I don't want to go outside of it and do all these cool, crazy things where you got to buy armor or upgrade for, certain points or coins to upgrade. I want it to be like it was when we were there. And I think I'm hoping it would be enjoyable. So, but interesting.
There is some fun to be had, though, if you could have like situational times where maybe the sorceress could appear, because like in the old mini comics, the sorceress would give him like the new he had like this weird spinny weapon thing that after the sorceress gave it to him, that toy was out, he would pop that up. It was this super weapon that he could pull out. Or like even the Thunder Punch, have that be a special armor. Like, oh, we have a special situation that you need it for this particular thing, so it's not going to cost extra coin. But for this particular level, you're going to be playing as Thunder Punch He-Man, because in order to knock something over there, because you see it here and you feel it there, you can do stuff like that.
That's a really good point, because that kind of stuff I do want to keep in. And so I haven't really talked about this, but when you get to the end of that beta, there is this icon that's right behind Beastman. And I don't know if people recognize that icon or not, but what I was trying to allude there was like, there is this there is the icons, or there is like upgrades. I guess it's called an upgrade. I would assume it's an upgrade, where if you find the emblem, and in this case, what was hidden behind Beastman was the Battle Armor He-Man logo that was spinning. And if you get that icon, you get the Battle Armor suit. So now you have an additional power, meaning like you get 3 hits without any damage, right? Because it protects you, like 1, 2, 3,
right. Yeah,
and then you lose it. So I am looking at those kind of things, because I think that kind of stuff is incredible to have inside of the game for sure. But it's more of like you got to seek and find. And I did think of another idea where I do want. Because what I love about the Filmation series is that Duncan, Man-at-Arms, is always working on an invention of some sort to help the situation. So at some points during the game, I think it would be cool that, like, if you keep dying and you can't seem to beat this certain piece, Duncan comes in from an airplane of some sort. I'm making it up, but this is the idea. He comes in and drops an invention for you to help solve the puzzle, or help solve whatever you need to do to help complete that level. Because I just think there's just so many things you can pull from, right? Like I'm like, I can have Orko help you like in certain missions, or you're in Tala, and like there's just so many things you can do. Like so I am excited to just bring those little Easter eggs into it for sure, whether it's from the comics or the toy line to the Filmation for sure. So
yeah, you can even help out with finishing. Like in the original mini comics, they didn't they hinted at it, but they didn't get to fully explore that Keldor was the original name of Skeletor, and him, they hinted at it, and then the comic line just kind of stopped, and like I've got the Dark Horse, book collection that's like that thick, and like you get into that, and like, oh, we're gonna get into the origins. Like, wait a minute, I'm in the She-Ra comics now. What happened? Where'd it go? Yeah, it's like they stopped right when they were gonna drop the bomb of like, oh yes, Then the next He-Man comics we have are the New Adventures of He-Man, which we can ignore those. Yeah. It didn't happen.
I know what you mean. and the other thing that I I don't know if you've heard of the episode that was that got asked to stop or not to continue the Return of Faker. Not sure if you heard of that one from James E. The gentleman who made one of the Dark Horse books. There is this episode that he was creating, which looks amazing. You can go to YouTube, type in a Return of Faker, and it never got published because something happened. I don't even know the story, but or I don't even want to try to attempt to say I know the story, but all I know, it got shut down. And I'm like, I watched part of it because you can find it on YouTube, and there's just a storyline there where Faker takes Orko, and I'm like, oh, I can turn that into a game and explore that as a level, so that way people can kind of get a little glimpse of Return of Faker, which, there's just so many things you can pull from, right? So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to have some fun with this for sure, but I really want to create something that the fans would also enjoy of Masters of the Universe. So like, again, I'm open to feedback, comments, suggestions, thoughts, ideas, because I don't want this to be just about what I want. Thankfully, with social media, I have the opportunity to get feedback instantly. And every time I create something, I put it on the YouTube channel, or I put it on Twitter, or I put it on Instagram. So I'm hoping to just have people just give me the feedback along the way, and hopefully we can create something cool.
And speaking of Instagram and Twitter and YouTube and everything, list out all those channels so everybody knows where to find you.
Cool. First, I appreciate you having me on. This has been fun. You can find me at PlayMo2, PLAMOTU, at PlayMo2 on all the social channels. So Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. I have a TikTok that I haven't really explored yet, but at playmo2.com is where you can find the beta as well, and at least just get a little glimpse into it and try it out and give me some feedback, because I'm full steam ahead on creating some more pieces to it. So, yep, at playmo2.
Yeah. And he's got some great stuff on YouTube showing creating the different sprites, and it was kind of fun watching you take a Tila and make it into a She-Ra. So I've seen some stuff like that.
The thing that I love to do,
seeing how it's working.
I gotta keep the height and the ratio and the proportions all done. I mean, all the same. And I like reusing sprites that I have to either recolor, rechange, because even with you'll find a Beastman on there where I redid Beastman from an old Skeletor sprite to a Beastman, but then I said Beastman's got to be bigger, so then I made him bigger. Yeah. And I used you'll find one that is Trapjaw, and I used Beastman pieces to kind of bring him to life. But they look different, at least in my opinion. They look completely different. But hopefully getting that look just right, so that way the game has consistency. So, yes.
Have you tried to recreate Beastman's walk? Because he had kind of a way to walk in Filmation. He just almost weird.
Yeah, so that one I'm gonna try. Like it's really like, even when I first animated He-Man, that one was kind of tough. Because I'm not like, you'll learn when developing games, you got to be an animator too. So there's all these pieces to it that you got to learn, and then you got to go do research on like how does fish swim? Because right now I'm like creating fish in the water, and it's like, oh my gosh, there's all these little pieces, but at first they don't come out right. I created He-Man swimming sprite or animation, and that was a completely fail. I don't know if I'll ever show my first version of that version, but the second one I did, copying and drawing inspiration from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one, made it look a lot better. So I'm like, it's tough, it's challenging. I'm like, man, and how many boards I want to do here, how many characters I want to do here. Oh my gosh, like it'll get overwhelming, but I'm excited for it.
Yeah, well, see, the fun thing is, once you get this done and under your belt, it'll be easy for you to come back with some of the other thoughts you had of other 80s properties, because, let's face it, E.T. did not get a very good game on Atari, and E.T. deserves a good game.
True, E.T. deserves a really
I don't know how you make a good E.T. game, but we need one.
Yeah. I mean, like, I do remember playing Back to the Future, but I don't know if it was the Back to the Future I really wanted. So, like, I don't know. Like, there's some other properties you could explore. But yeah, I think of that one too, and who knows? But hopefully this one will come out good. And if it does, then we'll keep creating some different ones for sure.
Awesome. All right. So just as a reminder, we've been talking to Sean. You said I was the beginning of it.
Ayala.
Did I get it? Ayala. Okay, there we go. And the website, once again, PlayMo2. It was a .com,
correct,
isn't it? Awesome. Definitely go check it out, find all the links and everything, and download the demo, and then have some fun with it and show it off to people. Say, check it out, this is so cool, it's He-Man. So, because it is fun to play with. So it's just really short, because like, you're gonna crave more, because especially, like the end, you catch up with Beastman, and he's got all the I forgot what the monsters were called, but he's got some of those. I was like, oh man,
yeah,
it's Shadow Beast, yes. Because I was like, I was gearing for the fight when I saw that, and I was like, End of the demo. Oh, come on.
I had to tease it. I just had to tease it.
Yep. Yeah, well, it was a tease, all right.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's definitely a lot of fun, and I'm definitely excited. And I was even saying on our year in review that I did buy an extra He-Man and an extra Skeletor, so I could take some out of the package because I'm 7 years old again when I hold these things in my hand. Just like having them out. It's just it's something we really need with a rough year that we just came out of. So
it was such perfect timing, really perfect. I feel for those. I mean, yes, I think right now you're still able to find a He-Man or a Skeletor on the shelf, but all the other stuff, it's challenging. But
it's very hard.
I agree.
If you find a small town Walmart, you have a better chance of finding the other characters.
That's the tip of the day.
Because I've been lucky.
That's the tip of the day.
I work up in Cameron, and it's about a 45-minute drive for me. But I came out of Cameron, and I like to check the Walmart that's right across from the radio station. And I go and I see I've been looking for Wave 2 to maybe start showing up in Walmarts, but I don't think they're ever going to get it. I think Target gets those. But I keep looking, and I find there's Teela, and there's Beastman, and there's Man-at-Arms. Like, here's all those other characters people are struggling on the Wave 1. They're here. You just got to go to the right places. You might have to go a little out of your way to find some of these other characters. But I managed to get everybody. I've even got... I've only bought 2 of the Hot Wheels. I got the Wind Raider, and I got the Shark.
The Land Shark?
But in all the other... Land Shark, yeah. I did see at a Target, they did have, they've got Hot Wheels that they're supposed to look like Beastman and He-Man. And I found all of those, but I don't really want them.
I don't like those.
If you're into Hot Wheels, go crazy. Have fun with those. I just wanted Hot Wheels of the vehicles that I remember.
Exactly.
So I'm hoping for a few more of those.
Yeah. I hope they come out with some more. I mean, I know it's all dictated based on how much we are purchasing as a collector or an enthusiast. So I'm hoping we're making those purchases for them to continue to create.
Yes.
So hopefully.
Yes, indeedy. Well, I know I've spent a lot of money on it.
Me too.
Yeah. And I'm still trying to collect, I'm having to buy online where I've got like a He-Man and a Skeletor that they're built like the old figures, but they're colored like the Filmation.
Oh.
And they have a She-Ra available on, I think it's BigBadToyStore.com that I've been finding those. They do have a She-Ra because I want a Filmation looking She-Ra because my sister had a She-Ra when we were kids and that figure looked terrible to me. But seeing how they redesigned her in the Filmation, she looked a lot better in the cartoon. And so granted, yes, we got a Wave 3 She-Ra and that's pretty cool. I still want to have a Filmation She-Ra to add to my collection.
Yeah, that's the only thing I don't have is a Filmation set. I want the Filmation set, the Filmation Merman, the Trap Jaw, the Skeletor.
Yeah.
I'm like, it didn't click to me until recently when I started this whole project. I'm like, wait a minute. These toys aren't the Filmation toys. What are right? I want the Filmation stuff. So hopefully I'll be able to be an owner of that soon.
Yeah, and there is a difference between, there's some that are recreations pretty much of the old figures. They're just colored like Filmation. And then I have seen some that are the more expensive that are made to look very kind of cartoony.
Yeah.
That I've seen Pixel Dan manage to get a hold of those, but there's no way I was going to manage to afford those.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, this has been fun because I could end up keeping going, but I got to make sure I wrap this up.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Once again, Playmo2.com. Well, thanks for coming on because this is where we say I go to Disney and beyond because this has not been Disney whatsoever, but not yet. Disney one of these days is going to buy everything. So.
Exactly. They will.
It's coming. I actually saw somebody did a timeline of eventually how Disney owns the entire planet and then colonizes Mars. It's pretty funny. So it's coming.
Yeah.
But definitely thanks for coming on the show.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Hey, thanks for listening to this week's episode of Neverland to Disney and Beyond. And of course, I want to remind you to keep a pixie in your pocket. What do I mean by that? Well, that is that young at heart, positive thoughts that you're going to keep in your pocket and share it with other people. Pull out that pixie dust and share it. Make sure, of course, that you check our show notes right there in whatever app you're listening to. There's a way to find the show notes. Now, I don't know what app you're listening to, so I can't tell you the specifics, but go and check it out. Also, visit our website, neverlandpodcast.com. Make sure that you can leave us a nice review on whatever you're listening to, be it Apple or Google or Stitcher or just about anywhere. Leave us a nice review, and we appreciate that. And also make sure you share the show with others because we like to bring other people into our community. And of course, Make sure you visit our Patreon page, patreon.com/NeverlandPodcast. We appreciate all of your help to keeping the magic alive here in Neverland. And of course, if you're looking for a bit more fun, go search for us on YouTube, Neverland to Disney and Beyond. Until next week, like I said, keep a pixie in your pocket.